Feel Good Breakfast Show.
When you hear that intro, do you not feel like a ray of light should be shining on Eitan?
But like over a hill,
Yes.
on a
When is
horse,
this going to end?
on a giant
We can't do
stadium.
this every week.
I honestly feel
It's never going to end until they
it's not.
change our theme
they
music.
Need to change you. They need to give you a little bit of a beat or something. That's the only way it's going to work. But
A
now
bit of a
we're like,
techno beat, eh? A bit of a...
it's just, I honestly feel like you have to just boldly intro this and say, at some point or another in life, we all advise to invest in opportunities that will help to save and grow our money for the future, or perhaps even be approached by friends and family to invest in their ventures. Investing is indeed risky business, so it's always good to get clued up before diving in with somebody so amazing and inspirational.
We are calling once again upon the legal guidance of our friend and expert in law, Director of Legalese, .co.za, Eitan Stern.
Yes!
To answer the question, I want to be sure I'm investing my hard-earned money wisely. So now what?
Yeah, John.
So now what?
What, eh, China?
Can I say, for people at home, you have to have this experience one day of sitting with these two. It's weird.
It
Very, very weird.
It degrades your grey matter. Okay, so
Yes.
I'm going to try and remember what we're talking about this morning here. Investing is tricky business, but
Yes.
there is this pressure. I feel it now, especially at my ripe old age. Like, I feel like I should have a portfolio by now. You know,
Yes.
we kind of feel like we should be investing. Can we just invest in any company? Can we or should we invest in a friend's company? How difficult is it to do that?
Okay, so the should is a different question, which I don't know if we're going to get into. But the can, so there's kind of two types of companies. You've got public companies, which we'll talk about in a second, which you can invest in, and you've got private companies. Private companies can't ask the public to invest in them, but they can ask people that they know. So if you've got a friend who's got a company and they want investment, yes, you can invest in them. If you do it, there needs to be a shareholders agreement drawn up and correct documentation. It's really, really not a good idea to invest in anyone's business without doing it properly, especially friends and family. But if you do that and you go through the procedure, then sure, you can invest in any private company.
And those shares then would then equal what? A payout at some particular point, a dividend? Does it differ in terms of what that...
So anytime you have a share in a company, where share is like a portion, if you think about it like a pie, and you're cutting the pie into smaller and smaller pieces, and it kind of entitles you to a few things. Number one is it entitles you to a certain say in the running of a company. So depending on how big the share you have that say. Secondly, you get a share of the dividends, which is a share of the profits. So at the end of the year, once the company's done all its work, paid all its staff, expenses, whatever's left over are the profits, and then the shareholders get a portion of that
split,
relative to the amount of shares that they have. And thirdly, you get actual ownership. So if the company's ever sold, you would get some of the money, or if you could take those shares, if the company is increased in value, you could sell them for more than you got them for.
All right, wowza. Okay, well, there's another thing about public companies.
Yes.
Before we get there, I'll get there in a second. There's a little social media comment that came through.
Yes.
It's Mohadi. And Mohadi says, okay, please touch on investments for kids. I'm a new mom, inquired about a life plan with a specific company, and they said he could only be covered from 1 year up. So with that, I'd like to have more information on what to take into consideration when wanting to have an investment plan for my 9-month-old son.
Okay, so as a big proviso, I'm not an investment advisor, and we'll get into it in a minute.
Yes.
So I'm unable to kind of say what you should do as an investment for your kid. And you know, you would need to go to an investment advisor for that. What we're talking about today is kind of the rules around investing and what you would need to know. But as a general point, I think the question's a great question, and you know, as Graham's saying, we should all be thinking about investing from a young age.
Yeah.
There's lots of different products out there, and you want to make sure that you go to an investment advisor. There's lots of them out there. Make sure they're licensed and get the right investment advice that you need. Definitely don't take investment advice from someone that you see on TV.
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to, from all the guys that we've spoken to on TV,
yes.
we have spoken to some great minds, but it's a great way to say, if you're going to go for something that's slightly lower risk when you're looking for a long-term growth plan for your child, that's generally, I think, the way to go. If you've got the money to be able to play around with the high-risk stuff, great. But if you're looking for a long-term investment for your child's education or for their long-term financial security, go for something that's low risk.
100%. Look, the risk is a great thing. It's great to touch on. Every investment's going to have a level of risk, and what you're trying to do is match your investment to the right level of risk. So if for a baby, where they've got their whole life to kind of watch this money grow and compound, money, invested money compounds year on year on year. So you could kind of just start putting a small amount away in a very risk-free investment and watch that grow over time. Of course, like investing in someone's private company, that's going to be a much higher risk investment. Yeah. So you might not want to do that with your pension or something that's core to you. So it's really important that every time you make an investment that you understand the risks and you understand what risk appetite you have at that period of your life or with that money that you have.
So, public companies, if we can touch on that just for a quick second.
Sure.
You know, when you get that advice at a braai and people are like, hey, you should go into this China, you should go into that China, and do that, I get it completely.
I'm going to come to your braais.
But I think nobody actually gives you practical steps into actually getting whatever shares you need from a public company. No one gives you the step-by-step as to how you get a piece of that company.
Do you have to go through a broker?
Cool. Yeah. So, great question. So, what are public companies? They're companies that are set up in order to offer their shares to the public, to as many people as possible. And that pie is cut into like millions of little pieces. So, and what you're doing when you're buying it is you're buying a portion of that company, and you get, if the company increases the value, your share increases the value. How do you actually do it? Well, you used to have to just go through a broker. There were people that did these trades. Of course, with the internet and with the tools out there, this has been very much democratized. So now there's apps, there's like Easy Equities, eToro. There's apps that you can use in order to directly buy shares for companies, shares in companies. So you can buy on the GIC yourself for a couple of rand, just register an account with Easy Equities. It's also quite fun. They've gamified the whole thing to make it a little too fun. It is still money. But yeah, you don't need a broker anymore. You can do it through online applications.
Yeah, but just learn a little bit along the way. Educate yourself if you are going to play in that space. We haven't even touched on Bitcoin yet.
Nope, not yet. We'll get there.
But we will get there. Mr. Eitan Stern is going to hang around, and we've got a very special request from a viewer in just a moment that I need you to brace for. But we'll continue to ask the big question. So now what? In just a moment.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It actually even it improves my posture, that music. You know that, eh?
I feel taller when I hear it. It's
you
powerful.
look a bit taller.
Thank you so much. We continue our discussion with lawyer and director at Legalese.co.za, Eitan Stern, as he breaks down the legal ins and outs of making investments with your money. And I need to let you know that we're not going to try and give you financial advice per se, but we will refer to some of the concepts just so that you're in the know when you are asking the questions with your advisor.
Because thankfully there is a legal framework within which we operate, which is absolutely
very
vital.
Important for people to know.
So who then, it begs the question, should we be talking to, and what laws and safety governs that space? What happens if someone we go to and give our money over to makes a bad choice and we lose all our money?
So I think this is the most important thing to touch on. We're not giving financial advice, we're giving advice about advice.
That's correct.
There's a whole, we've got a history of people taking other people's money and investing it badly. So you've got lots and lots of rules around this. It's a very regulated space, and there's different levels and categories of advisors. So you need to be registered according to the financial, the Financial Intelligence Safety. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but there's a organization you need to be registered with. You need to be licensed. And then depending on what financial advice or what products you're selling, you have different licenses. So it's crucial that if you're taking financial advice from anyone, family member, stranger, person you met on the internet, person you see on TV, it's really
Giant
important.
Panda bear.
Giant panda bear on the internet that asks for your credit card details. It's really important that you understand what license they have, you verify them if possible, and you understand your own research as well before giving someone your money. The only person that's going to be really looking out for your money is you. Financial advisors are always incentivized. They earn fees of the profits that you earn, which is fine. That's how the model works. But it's important for you to know it, and it's important for them to tell you all the risks.
I find that there's a lot of jargon around the word risk. There's a lot, and I almost feel like the jargon is thrown at you so that you don't really know how severe risk is. That's what I feel like, when you have an interaction with an advisor. So, I mean, all due respect to any advisor, I know, you are trying to do your best to ensure that we are doing what we can with our money, but let's look at risk as a concept, layman's terms.
Totally.
What should we be assessing with our advisor when looking at risk?
Yeah, I think that you're quite right. In that space, there's a lot of terminology and jargon, and it's really important to kind of dig your way through it before investing. What should you be looking for? You want to be looking at what sort of returns you can expect.
Okay.
You definitely want to be looking at the types of companies or where the money's going. If you don't understand in some essence where your money's going, it's probably not the right sort of thing. You want to understand what fees people are charging along the way. And you also want to understand what penalties they're going to be if you take your money out early or using that specific sort of thing. I think RAs, which we'll talk about in a second, there's some restrictions in what you can do with the money, the tax restrictions or benefits. So everything around, we work hard for our money. It's great to put it to use by investing it, but we really need to understand the broader context.
Manage it and look after it. I mentioned Bitcoin because we've been talking quite a lot about cryptocurrency over the last couple of weeks. Are we in any way protected? How do we know that who we're investing in and how we're investing, especially for those that haven't played in that space? How do we know that we're safe?
Cool.
Because surely you're not really signing contracts or sitting down with someone. Most of this you're doing over the internet with international companies.
So crypto is a really interesting one, and kind of by its definition, it's going to be quite a risky investment. You can make a lot of money, which some people have. You can also lose a lot. So if you're looking for a safe investment, crypto is probably not it. Some people disagree with me, and we shouldn't be giving them financial advice, but that's my particular opinion. But there's organizations and companies that have set up to help people access the crypto market, and those companies will be registered financial institutions and will have licenses in order to take your money and invest it into crypto. So companies like Luno, there's some international ones, they will have the correct licenses. And if you are a newbie into investing into cryptos and don't understand it, my view would be don't use any company that isn't licensed, and you can't go to a regulator to say, well, listen, these people took my money and I didn't get anything in return. If you're very experienced in crypto, obviously you can dig deeper into that world and there
are some mock kind of platforms that you can play around on before you actually start investing your real money, just to kind of get the ebbs and flows and figure it out. Maybe that's a good place to start.
Definitely. I mean, Easy Equities is a brilliant company, a South African one. They give you access to local share portfolios, international ones, so you can buy your favorite tech stocks like Google or Facebook or whatever it is. And you can buy from small amounts of money, and you get this ability to play around on mock accounts, so you can just play around in the game. It does gamify the whole thing, which is fun, but of course it's, that also has the consequences of it's like playing poker with your friends.
For sure, yeah.
It's like suddenly it is real money, so, just be careful of playing that game too much.
This is why we trust legalese.co.za. We trust you so much. In fact, there's another really important investment question.
Yes.
It's really, really pertinent for us to share. I don't know how you're going to take this, but it really is serious, but sure. I don't have to ask you this, but there's a viewer that had a request, and this is clearly a part of legalities around investment.
And it was actually a very heartfelt request. So I think you've got to take on board just how important this means to the person. The viewer's request, and it came from Marcel Channer, and Marcel Channer, we certainly relate to you. Please, can you let down thy locks, Mr. Stern? Is the request.
Yes, I think we should also have some music. Could we get some music around with us as well? I think. Let's go.
Please, sir, can you do it? Otherwise,
I'm happy to let down.
Otherwise, none of your advice means anything if you're not willing to do this.
No, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
I'm not shy. I mean, I love my hair. I normally get told to tie up my hair before coming on. I'm happy to do it.
Yes, let's do it.
Yes! It's so beautiful.
That's look at that, and you can tell he's invested a lot of time in that hair.
Is it leave-in conditioner?
I've got a lot of products.
And I know all sustainably sourced and really.
Yes.
We know you, man.
My fiance laughs that any woman in my life at some point lands up giving me hair advice, just like we're giving people not financial advice.
Yeah, no, not financial.
I'm very into hair advice. Anyone out there?
Wow. Okay.
Marcel, I hope you PVR'd that and you can play it back. We did it just for you. Buddy, we appreciate you. We appreciate your beautiful locks. We appreciate the fact that you're not a financial advisor, but you've given us some sage advice. Yeah. I think the most important thing coming out of this is to know that you are protected. So make sure that you do some background checks, make sure that the right kind of validation is there. If you're going to play in this monetary space, as Eitan pointed out, you work hard for your money. Make sure that you look after that money, especially if you're going to hand it over to someone else.